I would say, first of all, there's a lot of discipline. They are really, I'd say, more into learning than we are, or than Europeans are, and they find more fulfillment in education and school than we would, which is why a lot of them were really fun to teach and almost easier to teach because they had this love of learning and they could really sponge things in. They could memorize something and spit it back pretty quickly. And that's obviously not what learning the gospel is all about, just memorizing things. But when it came to the facts, they were pretty good at getting those down. Parents, definitely a huge attachment to ancestors is a part of Chinese culture, to the point where there were a few really sad occasions where you had a Chinese investigator who's doing so well and who really believed what was being taught. And then as their baptismal date approaches, they talk to their parents about it. And their parents are very against them being baptized into the church. They, once again, might fear religion a little bit. And so they kind of put their foot down and say, no, we're not a fan of this idea of the Mormon church and we don't want you to be a part of it. And it's funny because there comes a point for us, the culture's a bit different, where you're in your early 20s and you kind of do your own thing and you stop listening to your parents. But some of these people were in their late 20s, early 30s and still taking orders from their parents. And sometimes that worked to our advantage in that their parents were very much for the Mormon church and encouraged them to be baptized. But there are other times when their parents were really against it. And to my knowledge, these people that have great testimonies still haven't been baptized because there's that family barrier. Buddhism, Taoism, and those are the two big ones. Very rarely would we run into a Chinese person who was already Christian in some way. Most of them, I would say, are without religious belief. They're kind of taught that, secular things and things you can touch and things you can learn through five senses, like that's all there is. There's nothing more. A lot of people, I felt like the Chinese that weren't interested would kind of just spit out the fact that they were Buddhist because they didn't really want to talk to us, but were they really? It's hard to say. But the two, religiously, Buddhism and Taoism are the most tolerated beliefs in China. And they're the ones that you can actually kind of practice openly without any kind of fear. So, yeah, there was a lot of that. And a lot of just kind of blank sheets to work with almost. They're atheists, but not opposed to an idea of God. They definitely don't pray, so that's something you need to get used to. Obviously, your investigators will pray with you because they're used to doing it in lessons. There is a part of Chinese culture where, like, finishing, I think I'm getting this right. It's like more polite to finish your food than to not finish. And so, like, if you don't finish, then they'll just pretty much just like keep serving you more. And there's an ethical, I'm trying to bring it back into my memory. There's an ethical thing about not finishing and finishing and what that means. It's important to just be really grateful for the food they give you, because culturally it represents like a sacrifice, like they're sacrificing a bit of food to give to you. And if you finish, I think this is what it is. If you finish the whole thing, like you just clean your plate, that means that they didn't give you enough. And you're implying that you want more. Even if you're filled after one plate is clean, it's kind of implying that the food you give me was not sufficient. And so there is a certain statement when you don't finish saying like, that was really good, I'm filled now, and that you appreciated it. If we were teaching our Chinese investigators during Chinese New Year, they'd usually invite us over for a kind of celebration with lots of really good food and things like that.